Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru, aka Dean Tenney, coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas with another explication request. The best free supplement to your paid study materials is my YouTube channel. This is a 6566 request, and we have three separate playlists for each of those exams. First playlist is lectures, second playlist is a podcast series. Third playlist is practice tests and practice questions like these. If you don't have a Kaplan Q Bank, I highly recommend it with my 15% discount code at checkout. I think the 6566, depending on which version you're using, I think comes in about $50, $60. Don't quote me on that, but definitely worth every penny, particularly because of the performance tracker and the number of practice performance opportunities you have. Okay, with that being said, this request is 152118. I will help you with any request from any test prep vendor. Just is easier if it's Kaplan because I can bring it up backstage. An investor has opened an account with her investment advisor representative by making an initial deposit of $500,000. She's agreed to have the account diversified amongst four asset classes as follows: 30% investment grade bonds, 40% U.S. equities, 20% cash equivalents, 10% real estate investment trusts. She requests her portfolio be rebalanced on a semi-annual basis. Please know rebalancing isn't part of tactical money management, right? So sometimes people miss practice questions when they say, hey, is rebalancing considered to be active portfolio management? No, or tactical, I guess would be the better way to say no to that. Anyway, she requests her portfolio be rebalanced semi-annually. So 6 months later, and now the account is 120,000 in bonds, 210 in equities, 101 cash equivalents, 69. It would be necessary too. Okay, well, a lot of ways to do these kind of problems. I think what I would do is start out by seeing what is this initial asset allocation. So she started with 500,000, 30% of that would have been 150,000 in bonds. 40% of 500,000 is 200,000 in equities. 20% of 500,000, 100,000 in cash equivalents, and 10% of that is 50,000 in REITs. And then what I would do is say, okay, well, let me add up what she's presently got, right? Because we're going to have to get these percentages. If I add up the portfolio today, it's 120,000 in bonds, 210 in equities. So it looks like we've lost some money in the bonds. We've made some money in the equities. We have made some money on the cash, and our REITs have performed well. We have 69,000 there. If I add that up, the portfolio, kind of weird, we still have $500,000. So while those assets have kind of moved around, the portfolio was 500 and still is 500. And now we're going to rebalance, right? So now I'm going to go through and say, okay, well, based on the existing asset allocation, remember, which is still 500,000, we need $30,000 back into the bonds, right? 30% of 500, again, 150, there's 120. So we're going to need to put $30,000 into the bonds. The equities, we need to get those back into the proper balance, and the proper balance here is 200. Again, 200 is 40% of the 500, so we're going to have to sell $10,000 of the equities. And cash equivalent, you're going to have to sell 1,000 to get back to the 100, the 10%. And then those REITs, it needs to be 50 at 69. So we're going to sell $19,000 of the REIT. So the answer to the question is we're going to sell 10,000 of the stocks. We're going to sell 1,000 of the cash equivalents, and we're going to sell $19,000 worth of the REITs. That gives me 10, 1, 19. That gives me the $30,000 that I need to buy some more bonds. So the answer to the question is I'm going to sell $10,000 in equities. I'm going to sell 1,000 of the cash equivalents. I'm going to sell $19,000 of the REITs. I'm going to sell a total of $30,000, and I'm going to buy $30,000 more in bonds. So I hope you found that explication helpful. Remember, inch by inch, your 6566 is a cinch, yard by yard. Your 6566 is hard, and I will see you for the next explication request. I'll probably link in the video description and a pinned comment the playlist where you can find practice tests and practice questions.